Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about GaussDB application development. In this course, you will learn conception of database drivers, know what is JDBC and what is ODBC, and know how to develop an application with JDBC and ODBC. So what is a database driver? A database driver provides a generic interface that translates the requests made by applications into a language that the database understands, so that application can interact with database in a standardized way to meet different needs. Our GaussDB support both JDBC and ODBC drivers. So here's architecture of database driver. We have our application here, our database here, and the driver is underneath the application. Here you have your driver API, your writing, so it's your circle, and a manager here. Then we can translate the information to a database. It could be a Oracle database or our GaussDB database. So GaussDB client as a authentication. If you need to connect the database remotely, you have a three choice to connect database. It's the authentication method. The first is the host space authentication. The second is the password authentication. And third is SSL encryption authentication. So what is a host space authentication? There is a configuration field in our database. You can write the client IP address, username, and the target database to terminate whether the user obtained the authentication. So it's like this. You can put here, what's that mean? We allow Jack as a user to connect with this IP address with this encryption mode to all database. And you can add this routes using GS_GUC reload. So this is the first method, and the second is the most common used form with the password. It could be a encrypted password or unencrypted password, but unencrypted password is only for local connection. And SSL encryption authentication is also a choice. We use Open SSL as a protocol. It's a method more secure but more expensive. Then I will introduce what is a JDBC. So JDBC is written by Java. It's a Java database connectivity. Compared with Java standard, it provides an API for Java program to connect to a relational database. And our JDBC supports the standard 4.2, and we support the JDK 8 and the later version. Here is the architecture of JDBC. We got our application here, and here is a standard interface, and each provider have their own implementation, like Oracle implementation of JDBC, or Gauss implementation of a JDBC driver. Then you can communicate with their own database. Here it's mean because JDBC is written with Java, so you need to write once and run everywhere. So here I will talk about how to get our JDBC packet field. First of all, you need to get this compare field in our website. Then in this comparison field, you got 4 JDBC driver packets. All you need to know is the first one, GaussDB JDBC .jar. It's the driver you're going to use. And the others provide the same feature, but it exists because some compatibility reason. Just a few little between those JDBC driver packet. It's when you use OpenGauss, the driver name is conn.huawei.opengauss.jdbc.driver. If you use GaussDB JDBC, it will be conn.huawei GaussDB.jdbc.driver. And the URL is the same, a little different. Then they provide the same feature. You don't need to care about that. The GaussDB JDBC driver is recommended. So when you use our JDBC, the GaussDB kernel usage is compatible with the PostgreSQL. So it's possible you use two drivers in your application, but that may cause cast name config. So you can use like that, but maybe a problem there will be a problem. So don't use two jar in your application. Just use GaussDB JDBC jar, as I told you at first. Then compared to Postgre JDBC driver, our driver provides the following feature enriched. We have a more security encryption model, SHA-256. Then the third-party login framework can be connected, and we support distributed load balancing at the connection level, and you can connect to the disaster recovery instance, and automatically our JDBC will connect to the primary node if there is a disaster recovery instance. So here's our API, our JDBC API. Like other JDBC, we got a connection, we got prepare statement, we got resource set statement, etc. It's a standard. What you need to know is in our prepare statement, it doesn't support execute a large update method. And in our statement, if you want to use a large update related method, it need to be used in JDBC 4.2 or later. Then we are talking about basic JDBC operations. So how can we use JDBC in your application? First of all, you need to load a driver. Then you connect to a database, execute the circle statement, process the resource set. Then you release all the resources. And that's a life cycle of usage of JDBC. So let me take an example with GaussDB JDBC. So as I told you, the driver name is conn.huawei GaussDB JDBC, and the URL descriptor is JDBC Gauss. So here you got JDBC Gauss, and here you got your first host, first port, second host, second port, and if you want, you can get your third host, third port. Then you have your database and the parameter and its values. How can you create connection? You have two choice, both perceived. Here you can just write a driver URL, then you put this information to the API get connection. Here URL, your username and the password, and then you can get your connection. And the second choice, you can use a property object. You can put some parameters and its values here. Then you put this properties object into a get connection API. then you get your connection as soon as the first choice. Then when you have your connection, you can create a statement with a connection point create statement. So with this statement, you can execute your query, and there are 3 API to execute a query in statement. First is execute a query. Second is execute update. A third is execute. What's different between those 3 API? The first one, it return a resource set, and with this resource set, you can process your result. So if you execute a select circle, you could get some information. So here you can process all those informations. But in some case, you just have a DDL, like create table, when DML, like update insert. You don't need to have a resource set to process. So you can use execute update, and it returns just a number, how many rows it affected. Like this one, it will return 0 or 1. If there are only 1 rows is effective, it will return 1. If there are no rows effective, it will return 0. And if you're not sure what this circle will return, you can use execute. It will return a boolean, whether it means whether this there is a resource set as returned. If it's true, there's a resource set. If false, there's no resource set. So here's a note. A statement object is used to implement a static circle statement with no parameter. It means if you want to use a pre-compare circle, you need to use the prepare statement inside. Let's focus on statement. Once you get your resource set with your statement, you can process the resource set with the API next. Then you get your next row in your resource set, and then you can use the API get string, get int, get double to obtain your data. And once you finish your processing, you need to release all those JDBC objects, like a resource set you need to close, statement you need to close, connection you need to close. Here is a console maintained by the resource set. It points to the current rows in the resource set. So here's an API to manipulate the cursor. In the left, it can move the cursor. In the right, it can check the status of cursor. So next means move the cursor forward 1 rows in a resource set. Preview means back forward 1 row in the resource set, and the others is the same. It's easy to understand with its name. And this one is first mean check if this cursor is in the first row, and last is check whether the cursor is in the last row, etc. It's the same. And this one is return which row the cursor is in. Then we are going to talk about the prepare statement. So unlike statement, prepare statement can execute a statement with different input parameter set. Let me give you an example. Here we have a prepare statement, and we got our pre-compare circle. There is a 1 input parameter, and here we got a set int because the column name, column goal is a type int. If it's a type string or virtual, it could be set virtual or set times down, etc. It means set in the position 1. So it's here a value 1. And then you can execute your query. Then you call you process your results. Then you get your result and release all the resources. So our prepare statement also support the PBE protocol. PBE protocol is our prepare statement protocol. So PBE protocol for interaction with database. With our PBE protocol, our GaussDB kernel can save circle pathing and execution plan in cache. Then it can process them in batch. It helps greatly improve the execution performance of a circle statement. Like my circle, if you use a prepare statement, you have a great improvement. And let me talk about the batch model. So how can you use a batch model? First of all, you need to set auto commit equals false, which means send a begin to a server, a database server. Then you create a statement. Then this is some DDL manipulation, book table, and then we got our DML insert. And here our circle is insert into table 1 values to binding value here. Then we have a loop 10,000 times. We set the first value as I and second value 10 down. Then we add with this API add a batch. Then at the end of the loop, we execute the batch, and then all these DML insert will be executed in batch mode. And finally, you need to commit or finish this transaction. Then you release all the resources. So what's happened with batch mode? I just drive this picture. So if you don't use batch model, what's happened here is there are one insert circle send it to database. Then there are 10,000 times data sent to database. So there's 10,001 interaction between JDBC and database in a common no batch model. And with batch model, there are just 2 interaction between database. It will reduce a lot network cost. Just at first time, it will send the insert into table 1 values. Then all those binding value will send at once. There are no more 10,000 times message sending. Inside there are just 1 time. And finally, you have another choice is we provide a parameter named rewrite the batch insert. So with this mode, it can profit batch process model, and it will also rewrite your insert circle with multiple value like this. There are values, and there are multiple values, and all those binding value will send at once. So why this one is good than batch mode? Because batch mode just reduce the network cost, but how many times the circle is executed in a database? It's 10,000 times as the default processing. It's the same time it will execute in a database. But with this rewrite batch insert, it will reduce how many times the circle execute in a database because you rewrite your circle. Then using a cursor to retrieve the result, a JDBC driver provides a cursor based on resource set to control the number of rows fetched each time. That prevents the EXIF data from causing memory overflow. This is a feature we provide. So how can you use it? First of all, you need to set auto commit equals false, means then the begin. Then you create a statement. Then you set a fetch size as 50. That means each time when you call a next function, you will get 50. You will get just 50 rows in your resource set, and once those 50 rows are processed, and you call the next 50 data will shown in the resource set. So it will avoid some memory overflow problems. So here, if you set the fetch size equals 0, the console will be off. Our JDBC supports many OIM framework like MyBuddies and Hibernate. And here is an example of MyBuddies. You can use it as a Postgres circle. Next time, I will talk about high availability. So how can we provide high availability for our client? We support the loading balance. Let's look at this URL. We have you can put multiple the host port here. So both two hosts will be accessed by your JDBC. So we can apply some strategy of load balancing. We provide three policy here. First is random Robin, and the second is priority N, and the third is random. So what's that mean, those parameters? The default policy is row robin. You put auto balance equal true, or balance, or run the robin. It will be active. What's happened here is there is a counter in JDBC. Each time, for example, the first time I set the host 1, then the counter will +1. So next time it will set the host 2, and the counter will +1. Then the next time it will process the host 1 counter +1, and next time the host 2 counter +1, ainsi de suite. It's a loop. And the load balance, then the priority N is the second policy. You need to put auto balance equals priority 2, like this example. Here is a 3 host. Priority 2 means the first 2 hosts is in priority, which means the JDBC will only find the first and the second. And if the first host and the second host both not available, the third host will be reachable in this time. Otherwise, the host 3 will be never accessed. Then we got our random algorithm. Random algorithm, we need to put auto balance equals shuffle. So it's algorithm of shuffle. So each time when JDBC want to choose a host, it will shuffle the list of hosts randomly. Then it will pick the first host in the list shuffled. Then we have our read-write split and failover. And our JDBC driver support read-write splitting. In a centralized environment, you can select a target host to establish a connection as need. So here in our example, we got 2 hosts here, and we need to put a parameter named the target server type equals a value, we have 4 choice. The value could be master, slave, prefer slave, or any. What's master mean? It mean only the master node will be accessed. Slaver means only the slaver node could be accessed. Prefer slave means both the master and slave will be accepted, but I prefer accept slave. And any means it's accept randomly. So when we use master, when we use slave, and when we make use prefer slave or any, first of all, the target server type equals any is not recommended in any case. We use this third, the first 3-1. The first master is in the case when you need to read and write in this node. You have no choice. You can write something in a slave node. So definitely you need to use master mode. And if in your connection you only need to read something, there's no writing circle, you can use a slave mode. It's the better choice. And the third choice, prefer slave, is almost same to the first. In your connection, you need to. It's almost same to the second, because in your connection you can write anything to a slaver node. But in this case, you read something from slave node and master node, so there will be more pressure to master node. But in this case, if you don't mind, you can use it. General stability. Our JDBC provides a log genealogy that helps identify and fix problem in JDBC application. So here is the parameter to set, and we have a level of information, debug, and trace, as other log systems have, implemented by SL4J API. And here's our configuration fields. You can personalize your fields as you want, like the other log4j system. Personalize your log to print. You can change it to print the personal log info. So in this course, you have learned about connection statement, prepare statement, and callable statement. And you learn how to add, delete, update, and query in a database. And I have told you some parameters in our JDBC. Then finally, JDBC is the API to define how a client access our database. Now we talk about ODBC. First of all, ODBC is almost the same to JDBC, but it's more complicated. You have a new conception is a handle. You need to allow a handle, then set an environment. Finally, here you can get your connection. You can execute your circle with a statement and process the result, then release all those resources. The rest is the same, but at the beginning you have more detail to handle. Here is some information about ODBC. So there's Oracle DBC, DB2 ODBC, etc. Both of them is implemented by ODBC API. It writes as a C++ program. And our GaussDB support ODBC 3.5 in following environments. So how you can install your ODBC and configuration your ODBC. Here you have a two choice. You can download these compression fields in this website. Then you can install in this repository as follow. It's a common way to install a C++ program like this with /config with the field name and make install. Then you have a second choice is downloading our website. Then you put the compression fields in this repository. Then configuration. Then put some configuration in those fields. ODBC inst prime init and ODBC prime init. Those two fields with this with those configuration. And finally, you need to configure environment variables like this. Then you can check whether your ODBC is installed or not. And let me give you an example how to use ODBC to develop an application. Here is the ODBC API. It's almost like JDBC. You get your get connection, you get prepare, you get execute, you get fetch. It's almost the same. Then you have a new connection. It's a circle alloc handle for allocated handle, and circle free handle to free a handle. And here's API for get a connection, for getting a connection. Here's API to bending parameter for a prepare statement. Here is API to execute a circle. To execute a circle, here is a two API. Then you have API to fetch data from a resource set. And this is how you compare ODBC program. Like it's a common C++ program. And here an example. You get all those predefined variable here. What is the most important is you need your database resource name here. You need your username here, your path name, your DSN, etc. Then you allocate an environment handle. You use a circle allocate handle. Then you set the environment handle attributes. Use a circle set environment attributes. Then you allow connection handle with a circle allow handle. Then you set also commit attribute for the connection handle, circle set connection attribute. Then connect to the database, the data source, a circle connection. Here you get your connection. Then you still need to use a circle allow handle to allocate the statement handle. Then you can execute your circle with circle executed direct. With here is example for static circle. Here is example for pre-compare circle. And finally, you execute for select circle to check whether the data exists. And finally, you release all your resources. So here is the result. There's some common problem when you develop ODBC application. So the first problem you may meet is if there are multiple statements in a transaction, you need to start a transaction at the beginning. So you need to use the circle set connection attribute. And here you put the circle attribute auto commit, which means send the begin to server. Then you execute your circle and you end your transaction. So here is the Grammarly of transaction. Then if you execute the two select statement consequently, they may cause error message and the cursor is open. That's because once you execute a select statement, you need to release the resources, release the cursor to after that you can execute the next select statement. So how can you release the resources? It's called circle fetch. We'll use circle close cursor. Then you may meet a message pending value supply 0 parameter, but prepare statement blah 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 request 1. In this case, because the pending values, the numbers of pending values may be not correspondent to your pre-compared circle, or there may be another case. Maybe you need to change the pending value. You use this or $1. And finally, it may be a function sequence 0. And this is the order you call your function is wrong. You need to change the order of your function call. So in this course, you know how to use JDBC and ODBC. And you know how to develop JDBC and ODBC application. Thank you.